Now, Chris Biggs is really waving the flag of saying that the voter fraud is a problem in Kansas, and that if he becomes Secretary of State, he is going to end this voter fraud. How do you address that? Do we have a voter fraud problem? If we do, how are we addressing it? If not, I guess how do we lay that issue at rest?
Okay, you meant Chris Kobach.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Chris Kobach. Too many Chris's in this race.
There's too many Chris's, and there was a Chris in the primary too, and it gets a little confusing. But in any event, yes, he's claiming that we've got a massive voter fraud problem, and there's also a claim or attempt to try to tie that to immigration. I'm one of the few people in the state who's actually prosecuted a voter fraud case.
And you did this as a county prosecutor?
As county prosecutor. In the time I was in Geary County, we had over 20,000 cases go through that office in those 15 years. Out of that, there was one case of voter fraud, and the allegation was it was a non-citizen who had voted. It was an individual who had fought in the United States Army in Desert Storm, came back, registered to vote, was caught as a non-citizen, was prosecuted, ultimately went through the naturalization process. I'll never forget his sentencing, where he was very tearful, very complimentary of the country, and I remember the judge saying, "I wish the people who had the right to vote had the same attitude that you had."
I'd like to exercise it,
About service, yes. And I had that experience. He was prosecuted. The reality is we have 1 or 2 cases a year of voter fraud in this state. There's been a lot of statistics that have been thrown around, and what Mr. Kobach likes to talk about is 75 cases in 11 counties. I think as Mark Twain said, basically to paraphrase him, there's 3 kinds of prevarications. You know, there's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics, okay? What you have to know about that is that's over a 10-year period. So we're talking about basically 1 county a year out of 105 reporting a problem. And the statistics he cites came from a memo that was done by Ron Thornburg's office, which was not for the purpose of talking about criminally prosecuted cases. It was just a memo that was talking about some of the issues, some of the allegations that had been made, and everything, including the kitchen sink, was thrown in there. And it's often cited that there were 50 cases in Wyandotte County where people had asked for advance ballots for people who didn't ask for them, basically, or didn't want them. And the reality is it's not the procedure that you should ask for an advance ballot for someone else. It's not been made criminal behavior. And in fact, if the vote that comes in is of the person that's supposed to be voting and it matches the registration card, that's probably going to be a provisional ballot, but it will be counted. So this memo included all kinds of technical violations, ones where there may not have been sufficient evidence to prosecute or no criminal intent. And so it's really a misrepresentation of the nature of the issue that we have. We have a handful of cases at most every year, and that's what the true situation is.
Well, we only have about 30 seconds before we go to our next break, but how do we verify when we vote that I'm Mark Bannister or that you're Chris Biggs?
Well, we have voter registration cards that bear your signature, and we have people when they come in, they sign that they have, in fact, they sign their signature, and there's the ability to compare those, which is a disincentive.
Like we do a check.
Well, there's the opportunity to do that, and we're setting in place a procedure where we're going to have those kind of checks done to see what issues are prevalent. But we have not.
Go to a break, and
okay,
we'll come back. We're on Talking Democracy.